TK Chun is a 20-year veteran from SK Telecom, led the global, the North American division for SK Telecom, one of the largest companies in Korea. Has now joined us with Hardware Massive as our Korean country manager, really leading the charge. Seen amazing things happening in Korea, and so we're working closely with the governments there and the accelerators and VCs to develop that community specifically, and TK has taken the lead on behalf of Hardware Massive making that happen. Kuwajima, Senior Vice President of Linkers, is playing a similar connecting role with Japan and America, connecting many manufacturers in Japan, but also globally, to startups in Japan and also globally. So very much a global connector, but with a focus on Japan. And McLaughlin, who we've had here a couple times as our international speaker, kind of all over the world, right? Leading Brink IoT, who's really planted the flag for hardware in Hong Kong, but is also going more global now in London and the Middle East. And I guess we get the scoop on that story. Is that right?
Sure.
Bay runs the Brink IoT, so it's an accelerator in Hong Kong based on IoT, but uniquely from my perspective, Brink really devotes and invests into their startups. It's not a particular length program, but you guys really look at the whole picture, you invest the team, and you really work hard to make sure those investments pan out and with a bit more devotion. It's pretty cool and pretty unique, I think. So let's start it off just with a general state of where is hardware globally. Kind of open it up to you guys to take a few minutes and maybe explain too a little bit more your role in that community, and how do you see, you all kind of have some experience here in Silicon Valley, and what are the differences, and what do you see driving your local communities?
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Well, in Argentina, it's something that is pretty new. It's growing there. We don't have much experience in startups, but it's something that is happening, and it's really cool to be part of that. We try to help these entrepreneurs to connect them with investors, with vendors, suppliers in every part of the world if they need to manufacture in Asia or in the US or in Latin America as well. Mostly of the startups in Argentina are from software. It's not something very different from here, but it's I think that 15 or 20% of them are from hardware. So it's really hard to connect them to investors in South America. But again, it's something that is new, so we have the opportunity to learn about this ecosystem of this Silicon Valley or Bay Area experience to replicate it and learn about the issues, try to improve on that issues to convert them in something really special and new. And well, my role is to help these entrepreneurs that they are looking for, mostly for funding and for mentoring. So we connect them to these players that are everywhere in the world. And we are very close working with the government. We have a new government now that is supporting this kind of entrepreneurs and startups. In fact, the platform for, the name is PYME. So it's like, translation would be like small and mid-sized companies. Now it's called Entrepreneur Small and Mid-sized Companies. So they are looking for that kind of revolution, like for startup, to help the entrepreneurs to bring their ideas into the world and well, show what we can do. In Argentina, we have a very creative and talented people there. So the key factors will be to connect them to the world, in the US and Asia, to be close to this excellent countries and places that they build ideas for much more longer than us, right?
Hi guys, my name is TK Chun and I came from Korea. Right now I am engaged in the management of a couple of startups with the items of thermal security camera and inflatable products, which are being exhibited on the right side of the stage right now. From the second half of last year, I started to be, playing a role of country manager, as he introduced in Korea. Actually, I lived in Silicon Valley about 11 years, and I went back to Korea in year 2015. And when I worked and lived in here, I found that, and I really was jealous, about the supporting startups, environment, overall environment in here, Silicon Valley. So I was dreaming of how I can get, engaged in that ecosystem or being part of that kind of environment. And luckily, I was able to meet Greg, sometime last year. And I decided to be part of the Hardware Massive network globally. And that is the brief sort of reason and background why I'm on the stage today. Yes.
Hi, I'm Hiroaki Kuwajima. I'm coming. This time I came from Chicago, but originally from Japan. So just briefly, Linkers is doing a kind of running a platform who matches whatever the manufacturing capacity of manufacturing players from large-scale companies towards the startups, towards the Japanese, particularly SMEs who are really focused on the high-precision technology or any type of the high-quality product. Our client is basically 90% Japanese, but 10% actually come from the US, Europe, and Asia, actually. And so this time, this is my first time coming to this conference, and I see that a lot of things also going on in Japan. One is the emerging hardware startups. It's interesting that Japan was kind of known for being silent and sometimes very less risk-taking people who are not suitable for hardware. Not just hardware, but including software, not suitable for startups. But these days, the availability of financing, as well as, for example, like a crowdfunding site, or the accelerators are now ready. And also, there's lots of, obviously Japan was known for decades for the high quality manufacturing countries. So it's a whole infrastructure to help the startups to ramp up the production, particularly the high quality products are there. So I see a lot of changes for the startup, Japanese startup community, particularly for the mindset, finally taking risks and going global, just emerged. But also, it's interestingly, I just wanted to tell you that the Japanese SMEs which we connect, basically the whole sorts of the quality production, which is not known so much globally. Historically, those Japanese kind of industrial SMEs were helping out like Sony or Panasonic, Olympus, all kinds of the quality manufacturing companies, particularly on the upstream R&D and prototyping. But now, obviously the client operations are globalized, and those Japanese SMEs who are helping whole sorts of high quality prototyping and the first volume production was just looking for another role to play another role globally. So I'm also helping out how those Japanese SMEs can help the Silicon Valley hardware startups, not maybe fulfillment of some of the functions which maybe Shenzhen or Taiwan is playing a role. So this time I wanted to bring a news perspective what's going on in Japan.
What's going on, everyone? My name is McLaughlin, one of the co-founders of Brink. Was here in the Bay Area for almost 10 years before I decided to move to Asia. So hearing these stories is fantastic because I was here, understood what we knew here, and was really, really, really bullish on what we did in the Bay Area, but had this idea that, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on that we don't know about, and I need to get out of here. So I've been in Asia for 3 years now, Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, China. As you did say, Greg, we are opening the Middle East office this year. We'll announce that in a couple of weeks. And we have a satellite office in London. But what we learned very, very quickly is that, you know, being here or being in New York or being in London or wherever we are, Hong Kong, you can't just be local. It's not possible. You're competing with the biggest guys on earth, no matter who you think you are. So, you know, all the different startups here, everyone in my portfolio, you're competing on a global basis the second that website goes up. And what we're learning in Hong Kong, the government is super, super supportive at a high level, but again, it's China. Like, they're owned by China. So really, if you look at China's backing, you know, a lot of people, at least I did before I moved over there, like to think that they were really this sort of copying culture or this hacking culture, but there really wasn't. You know, we're in the Bay Area, right? I had a pretty big belief of how great we were. And then I've learned a lot, and there's this new kind of concept that's coming out, which is CFC, which is copying from China. So it's sort of gone the other way around. I was just talking to Eric from Pebble, one of my friends, and after he's shut down his company, first thing he did was go right back to Shenzhen again. You know, he's not here right now. He's in China. And it just really kind of sparked that interest for me. It's like, I need to get out of here and really learn some stuff. And I think that one thing I'm learning about Asia in particular is there is such amazing technical talent. There's so much buying power. There's so much heritage in the physical world. And I think that that's where this pairing makes a lot of sense. And I know you do this all the time, Greg, is it's really important to marry those two. So I think, a great, technologist sitting in San Francisco still needs the East in a big way for different reasons, and vice versa. So that's why I fly back and forth all the time. That's why I connect with all these different guys. It's important, no matter what ecosystem you're in, to recognize you're only representing one piece, and that the world is super big. And as a physical product company of any sort, you are by definition competing with all the global companies. So you have to be agile, mobile. You have to be moving around a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. And here in Silicon Valley, I think there's enough here often that we feel we can do it in a bubble. And there can be some success stories, but it's almost to our disadvantage, I think, because we don't look outside as much as we could. We don't try to get connected. And there's a lot of great resources out there and people devoting a lot to this. So great point to step on to our next topic, which I want to get into the government support specifically. So, if you can talk maybe about specific programs, and for you maybe more if you know of others outside of Argentina as well, South America. But there's a lot. I think as far as I've seen, the U.S. is supporting hardware startups less than any other country that I've been to in the last couple of years. I think there's a network and there's an ecosystem that is very supportive, but in almost every country I've been to, there's some initiative that has got a fund and an accelerator or at least a co-working space or something. So if you guys can talk about that, specifically what names of programs or any numbers that you could give about this would be great.
All right. Yeah. Well, in Argentina, again, this new government is leveraging new platforms, new programs for startups. There are different. One is the name is seed. It will be in Spanish. It's much better, right? But it's like a seed entrepreneurs. So they are trying to mentor and give them consultancy about how is this ecosystem, how you need to be competitive. Again, as they say, you're not alone in the world, so you need to be in the same level of communication, to be fast to launch your project to the world, and to be prepared to pivot, right? To be flexible, to understand what is who is going to be your target, who's going to be your customer, and it's not the same if you're looking in Europe or in Asia or in South America or in North America.
So how is the program implemented? Is there a specific location, or is this a mentorship program, or how?
Yeah, it's they are in Buenos Aires, There are different platforms or units of buildings that they are prepared for that. So you go there are programs that run from 2 months to 1 year, for example. It depends on the size of the startup, right? Well, you have different connections with other Latin American countries. For example, we've been in Chile supporting IEF, that is another ecosystem for startup there, mostly, of course, in Chile because it's a small country comparing to Argentina, Brazil. The startups are 99% for software. So we are connecting Argentina, Chile, Mexico City as well. We've been there in different programs and supporting for the startups community there. And now we are trying to look in Colombia, because in Colombia is something that is growing very fast there as well, mostly for hardware. Colombia, they are building a new ecosystem and investing in hard tooling and technology to provide, like in the middle of America to North America and South America. So that is interesting, what is happening there.
I think when we spoke, you were saying Bogota, Santiago, Buenos Aires. Are those the three main hubs you would say in South America?
Yeah, and of course Brazil. But Brazil is like some of samples we were talking about in Asia, right? Brazil consumes and build for Brazil. It's not the same to consume or to export Brazilian product to Argentina. But we are close to them. They are very, very close with the community, but it's a huge country, so the domestic consume there is enough to respond to that demand. But again, and I completely agree, we need to think more about a global thing in a global development, because not the same target or consumer we are looking for is going to respond at the same way if we are trying to look to sell our products in North America or in South America or in Asia. The values and the needs are completely different.
Right, yeah.
I think right now, Korea is one of the countries in the world which gives the fantastic and very diverse supporting programs to startups. And actually, all the...
Name them. They're amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to make an example. I'm going to make an example. And he's already aware of that program. But it is called TIPS, Tech Incubator Program for Startups. TIPS, we call it just TIPS. It's really fantastic. Like it's being run by over 20 venture capitals in Korea and the government as well. So with the mother fund of the government, central government, once one of those over 20 venture capitals picks the startup up to $100,000 and invest $100,000 amount into a certain startup, then 9 times of matching will be made from mother fund.
You said 9, correct?
9 times. Yeah.
It's a 7x grant matching program for no strings attached.
So I have an idea.
Yes. Find a 60% Korean partner first.
So actually, co-founder, whenever I introduce this tips program to the friends coming from the overseas, they shocked. So I dare say it's one of the fantastic supporting programs in the world right now.
So, and they're putting about 200 startups through that a year now.
Yeah, and for the upcoming 2 years, once they are chosen, then the mentoring support from the the venture capital who picks up that startup, is being followed actually.
Yeah. And then the CEI and the CCEIs.
And it's a long story maybe, but the CEI, which stands for CCEI actually, Center for Creative Economy and Innovation, which started at the launch of the previous president, who was impeached, unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago because of the presidential scandal. But with the launch of that previous regime, the former President Park Geun-hye, she suggested a kind of policy to boost the overall environment for the startups in Korea. And with that policy, right now there are 18 centers for that creative economy and innovations all over Korea. And each center has got, it is three-pronged team, like a central government, regional government, and one of the huge conglomerates like Samsung, LG, SK, Hyundai type of huge conglomerates, they are being teamed to support each individual center. So those three-pronged team, they have been running very diverse, their own programs in each individual center to support the startups in the region. So it's a little, in hazardous position right now with the political situation, but for the last 4 years, that CCEIs, it is true that they have been doing a very critical and a major role to support the startups in Korea.
So in case of Japan, I'd say the government involvement a little bit less compared to the other countries for some reasons. So first of all, what government does? So I think it's a couple product program going on, but as you see, so the number of Japanese startups are emerging, including hardware, is increasing. And also, as I said, the infrastructure like crowdfunding or the kind of prototyping capabilities, and also the emerging of the CBCs, as it does in the Silicon Valley, we see a lot of actually financiers available for the startups. It's a big change actually in the recent years in Japan. So the government focus is not about providing the whole infrastructure, but more solving on the specific problems which Japanese startups has. One is to help them going global. So I was in Austin, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and you see if you go to South by Southwest, there's a kind of big Japanese flag there, and a big Japanese pavilion there, and some a little bit interesting startups and people are hanging around. And actually, those guys are basically supported by Japanese government organizations. And there's a whole kind of streamlined way of how Japanese startups can go, first of all, have a first step in Silicon Valley. And also, it's kind of interesting that the Japanese government is also funding some of the kind of Japan-related venture capital in Silicon Valley, and they, under the kind of funding and the help of the Japanese government, those venture capital will help those startups has a first footstep and exposure to the Silicon Valley. So one of the program for the Japanese government, the focus is how, once infrastructure is ready, how those startups can go global and have exposure. And with domestically, but still there's a lot of issues as exactly the same case in the Silicon Valley. For example, still, it's becoming known that the Japanese is still good for hardware startups in terms of the whole availability of the infrastructure. Still, the communication between those kind of contract manufacturers and hardware startups, Japanese hardware startups, are still very, very difficult. And also, how to find out the exact kind of co-partners who ramps up the production of hardware startups in Japan is really difficult. So the government, the next focus is how to streamline the communication and also, from the concept to volume production, how they can support the whole right matching among partners, and also the small funding which is needed for the hardware startups. So I would say, so Japanese government now is thinking how to provide kind of small funding even though there's a crowdfunding and the local banks are trying to finance those startups, but not enough. So particularly for the initial kind of debt valley, from the prototyping to the volume production, the government is trying to solve the networking and also small financing program right now. But now they're just preparing for that. So maybe a bit behind, and maybe strong focus on globalization and less focus on helping providing physical help to startups. Right. So that's the situation in Japan, I see. Yeah. Right.
So the thing that I'm probably going to go opposite to what you were trying to get at there is that I think that governments getting involved is great at a high level. Like, I actually think the 9-to-1 matching in some ways actually weakens the group. Because has anyone ever heard about the Singapore startup scene before? So in Asia, Singapore is like the golden child. There was really nothing going on, and then the government started dumping cash on startups. And it was like nowhere else in Asia. And it was software first, but it created this massive boom. I mean, just tons and tons of software companies coming out of Singapore. However, now it's been known as the zombie economy because there are so many startups that are still alive there that are just worthless. Now, there are still good companies, but there are so many companies that have money but are just not doing anything that have been alive for years and years. And obviously, hardware takes money. Got it. I think you hit the nail on the head about America not doing anything, because America doesn't have to do anything. Yeah. Because this has been happening for so many generations now. There's so many makerspaces, there's so many accelerators, there's so many investors, there's so many opportunities that the government doesn't need to step in there. I think, I've looked at Hong Kong. Hong Kong is the best place, if you're not a US passport holder, to have a company, because you don't have to pay tax essentially, and you can do all your imports and exports and all your financing and everything you need to do. Hong Kong is probably the best country in all of Asia as a physical business, like by a long shot, by a super long shot. However, if you're an American passport holder, it doesn't matter, you're getting taxed regardless. But I think that it's really important to look at the pros and cons there, because if you want to build a physical business and you're going to be in Asia at all to manufacture or distribute, man, Hong Kong's amazing. And the government offers a couple of things like training visas. There's a 6-month training visa that our accelerator can dish those out pretty easily. So it's nice if you want to come over for 6 months. We've got that covered for the most part, besides a couple of countries. But then transferring that into getting a bank account, like you can set up a business like one day with $1 or something. It's kind of crazy. But then getting a bank account in your name because it's a tax shelter is a nightmare. And if you actually, I think we have in the back, Invest Hong Kong is one of our partners there. So if anyone has any questions there, I mean, it is such a good place to do business. But if you're a hardware startup, I mean, our hardware startups struggle just like anyone else's. And I think that in hardware, it's a good thing. I think the worst thing you want to do in a hardware startup is give them too much installation and padding, because building a hardware business is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, and the world doesn't give a shit about you. And it's really like that training is, I think, really positive. And I think that it's if I hear startups, like I don't know about the Korean startups, but like thinking if I gave a team $100,000 and they got $1 million, like I've seen teams misspend $10,000, versus $1 million. And so I think that it's a double-edged sword. And I definitely think it needs to be a priority of the government. Like, that's what pissed me off in Hong Kong is we were #1 for the first couple of years we were there, beating the drum, IoT. Like, obviously, you have a heritage in this. Don't miss this opportunity. And then they chose fintech. You're like, oh, God. Like, really? Like, you're the only place on earth where people have to come to manufacture, and you chose something that every other city on earth can also do? Like, give me a break. But it's all good. Like, they're doing both, but it clearly needs to be a priority. Now, how it gets executed, I don't know if those details are nearly as important. I just think it needs to be top of mind. And the government beating the drum is one of the best things that can happen for that region, even if it's not like 9-to-1 matching or free office space or whatever. Just having it top of mind is super helpful.
Can I just one thing? There also, I just forgot to mention one thing. The Japanese government also owns its own venture capital. It's interesting, one of the financial arm of the whole total of a couple $1 billion. Maybe trying to help bail out some of the companies, and also, but also trying to put some money on the startups, not on both the hardware and software. But one of the issues for the government, particularly funding support, is because it's venture capital. There is valuation. There's the whole process of investment. But sometimes it happens is the government has a target. They need, they got order from I don't name it, but maybe prime minister, I don't know. The leader, the country leader, it tells you that you have to invest a couple of $100 million in ventures. And then the government officials, okay, we have to think about maybe some of the startups, and then they tend to overinvest. And something happened in Japan, but some of the startups who got funding from government is great, but the valuation was just too high. So once they set up, was trying to get the next level of financing, like run some Series B or Series C, just those startups who got funding from the government didn't get any next level.
Have you seen the valuations in China?
Well, let's discuss.
It's way worse.
Well. So the valuation issue is always there, particularly government. The government is government, so they don't care so much about how the growth opportunity. Once they invest, it's done. They did their job. So any kind of startups, not only in Japan, but has to take care of what's the intention of the government, what's the support and the story.
Yeah, I think if I can just touch on this real quick while we're still on this topic with Korea, or this focus. Absolutely agree. I mean, competition is critical to running a successful business. It's going to be really hard if you can't compete on a level playing field. You're probably not going to compete, in the long run, certainly. And I think we see that a lot in Korea. They've quickly poured a ton of money into it, and so you see a lot of products that have a lot more polish than they should because they don't have the value prop and the price point and the things that they absolutely need to have. At the same time, I think the flip side of that is the history of Korea is that they have the top 10 companies dominating 80% of the GDP. And any startup that popped up was just immediately squelched, right? So they have a history of there just being no chance of a startup, any innovation happening. And so
But you gotta look overseas then, right? I mean, I think that's the thing, like we were talking about this earlier, like Japanese companies, Korean companies, I'm right there, I go to your countries all the time, and I can't understand it. Like, I mean, it's really, the translation coming out is really hard.
Yeah.
So like, if you can manufacture and have great engineering talent, and then just go ship that product to Hong Kong or Singapore or Indonesia or anywhere in Europe, I think there's so many opportunities. I totally get it. I mean, Samsung's like insanely powerful, but like I think that's an important idea to get their head around is just looking at that local market might not be the right strategy. Like if you ever go to, like Waterloo is always my favorite example. Like, has anyone been to Waterloo, Canada? Like Waterloo crushes every single ecosystem on the whole planet. That's it. Like they are the dominant by factors. The entire government, all the university systems, the entrepreneurs, the mentoring network, the funding, the locations, the degrees that you can even get a degree by building a company, like they are killing it in physical. The entire country's on board. And the first time I went there 3 years ago, it blew my mind. I have not seen a better ecosystem ever, full stop. Like globally, like every single country I've been to. And the thing is that they've invested like year after year in an infrastructure that makes sense. They help you get the space, they help you get the engineering talent, they help you get a little bit of funding, then they coach you, then they help you do sales, they help you do the manufacturing. They go piece by piece very logically and methodically as the teams evolve, and now they have it, right? I mean, and I think every government, every single government, I said, if you haven't been to Waterloo and studied with the Communitech, it's called Communitech, period. It's the blueprint for physical innovation, and I think everyone should be copying.
great.
Yeah. I was trying to in Argentina we have something similar as in Japan. Another programs the name is PAC, and another FONTAR, but there are different non-refunding programs for startups. So they're pretty cool. They give you the money, but the thing is, when you end the program, you should apply to another one, and maybe sometimes they don't give you enough money or coaching or mentoring. So you're in a kind of situation that what should I do? Should I go ask for private capitals or venture capitals, or should I keep trying to get another program? So in that situation, time is money, and time is something you need to be very precise and take care of it. So in something similar in that kind of situations. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, what I found super interesting traveling, to our different chapters and meeting the hardware startups was that the hardware startup mentality internally is the same, right? We're tech guys who love to build stuff, and we've got the next biggest idea, and it's going to be awesome, and we all have this dream. But then you go to these different communities, and you see this very strong cultural component. And part of that is in the history of the economy. Some come from manufacturing economies, some are more artistic, and then there's cultural expectations of failure and so forth, and that drives a lot, I think, of what is the right program and how these companies are attended to and can be supported. So just want to touch on that, and I think, not our audience, and a lot of people haven't been to a lot of these places, so might not be real familiar with the cultural aspect, and maybe you can give some color as to what the culture is like and how that affects the startup mentality. So.
Okay, well, in Argentina we are very passionate for everything. Everything is football. I don't know. If you ever been there, everything
made
is
in Brazil with passion.
Yeah, passion.
When does a Saturday night end?
Exactly. It ends like 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Yeah,
that kind of says a lot.
If you're a funny guy that you want to spend the night in Buenos Aires, it's the place to be. So yeah, we have again passion, and we are very committed with our work. So, and another a good thing we have is we get this European heritage. So our style and kind of creative process and mentality is with that DNA. In matter of fact of creative engineers, designers, we have great brains there that they work and they think every time in new challenges, in new inventions and ideas. So I think is one of our best values is that kind of heritage, and another thing combined with economy that is really bad. We are very familiarized to stand up and fail once again. So we are very flexible in our mindsets. So we can adapt to different. We have that kind of capacities, right, to adapt and start again when the economy is bad. So we are very creative to do well, right? So
what about fear of failure specifically?
Well,
what is no fear? Lots of fear?
I think again we are very familiarized with that, so we don't feel. It's something you are expecting that is going to happen to you, to your startup, to your company. So it's not good, but trying to get something good of that is the experience, right? Applying that kind of experience to a global connection or community with investors, with vendors, that kind of capacities and that kind of training, is something you should pay attention of it, because it's something that gives you the strength and the passion to move forward and to say, okay, I could do this. I'm not afraid of failure or to do things bad, because I'm going to make it better then. So that is, I think, our values.
Yeah, absolutely.
I may have to start my comment by asking a silly question to the audience. How many of you are aware that where is Korea located at? All of you know? Oh, thank you for that. Actually, it's located right between China and Japan. Very small country. Looking at South Korea. Okay, entire Korea, including North Korea. Entire Korean peninsula is just half of California state. South Korea, only a quarter of California state. In that little tiny territory, over 50 million, like 55 million, populations are living right now. He mentioned about the DNA. One of the most popular or easily heard expressions in Korean is pali pali. Anybody who happen to know what that means? Pali pali. What is that?
Go fast, go fast.
Go fast, yes, go fast. So for any foreigners who come over to Korea, restaurant or bank or any space that you guys entering, very easily hearing that word, pali pali, pali pali. So the Korean blood, they just cannot wait, okay? They cannot wait. So everything should happen in a very, very faster pace, and they just take it granted, okay? Mm-hmm. When I came to the U.S. for the first time, it really was a shocking experience. I went to the bank and trying to open a bank account. You guys know how long it took? It couldn't happen in a day. I had to go back to the bank next day, right? Of course, I was an alien, so it might take a little longer time than usual. But in Korea, opening a new bank account, it can happen within 3 minutes. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? But it happens daily basis, and it made the current Korea. So culture-wise, the Korea is really suitable for doing startup activities. They don't wait. They really need to move forward, hopefully. So with the right and proper system and environment, once they are built up, then I think the Korean people are the most suitable race in the world to do that kind of activities.
I just got the 3-minute warning here, so I think we have just time to finish up.
Okay.
And I'm going to real quickly ask you, what is the most common?
So it's interesting that even though it's neighbors, it's how different is Japanese culture and Korean culture. So Japanese can wait.
So what is the most common word in Japanese?
Many people, maybe you guys just deal with when you do any business with Japanese, your first impression is they're slow. But actually, maybe they're slow, but one of the interesting cultural traits is the Japanese commitment in the over quality. But it also you understand the whole made in Japan story. The quality was great, and the Sony Toyota. But why over quality? That's the issue. So there's a cultural background behind, which is it's interesting that if you read the book called Made in Japan, wrote by Sony founder, actually Japan was the best place you do the iteration process with the market. Once you launch any kind of product in Japan, the comments is harsh. This function is bad. One day after Sony, either any kind of Panasonic, Toyota launch the product, they'll get tons of comments from the consumer. You have to fix this. You have to fix that. So because it's kind of locked country, it's a very insulated country. So once any bad comments just spread around, the company brand is really hurt. So because of the hurt, so that was why Japanese quality was made through interaction within Japan about quality. So to that end, I think the location of the startups really matters in the sense that how you can get quick feedback, sometimes harsh, which will help out, quickly improve the product. So I think the whole history of Japanese, quality product was because of the very dense communication with the consumer, and also at that time the product doesn't have to say anything. If you have a good car, you will drive. You don't have to explain anything. So to that end, I think I see some potential for the Japanese hardware startup as well. By having Japanese market as a first customer. So
So we're going to have to cut it off here. What I found really interesting traveling more and more to Japan was the most common word is not hello
okay.
or goodbye. What is it?
Sayonara.
Sumimasu.
Oh,
Okay.
Sumimasen. So yeah, it's also interesting. As a Japanese, my first career was a Japanese businessman. The word I say the most is sorry. Like it's just casual. You see, maybe 10 or 20 times I just say sorry. Even though you don't have to say
So
sorry.
to get a waitress or waiter, sorry, to open a door, anything. And I think that really goes to the kind of fear of failure may be a stronger word, but it's that kind of like trying for perfection. And
it's a highly contextual society.
Right.
So which
Can I comment on the China thing before we take off?
Yeah.
So this is really important coming from San Francisco or the Bay Area, is I appreciate the books, I appreciate the headlines, the whole thing, but if you have an experience competing with the Chinese culture or mainland China, this is where I use this word sophistication all the time. We're super sophisticated over here, and I think it's really important because all the startups I've met, and I keep coming back to meet in San Francisco, you have a chance to have the most sophisticated business minds, investment minds, technology minds in the world, but you're competing with the speed and the tenacity of the Chinese.
1.6 billion entrepreneurs, and we're going to have to cut it off.
The original entrepreneurs.
We're going to cut it off there. Thank you guys. And you really got to thank our panel. These guys, most of theirs is a second language, so thank you guys so much.